Our next guest thinks the Fed is more likely to cut rates in May rather than March because improvements in inflation are likely to slow with stronger consumer demand. KPMG chief economist Diane Swonk joins us now. Diane, tell me what you're expecting about the consumer and be more specific, perhaps, about why that is, in your opinion, at least going to push the interest rate cuts further out than perhaps the market thinks right now.
Well, we've always had them further out than the market thinks, and I think the Fed is willing to experiment a bit with growth, but they didn't commit to a March cut. And I think what's important is that we are going to see continued strength in consumer spending, particularly in the service sector. That is, the strength in the consumer that we've seen already has been remarkable. It has been resilient, and they are hedged more than the rest of the economy from rate hikes because of the fact that they're locked into those long mortgage loans or paid them off entirely. We've seen older baby boomers actually be able to spend a lot more than they have in the past because they're earning interest on the savings accounts that they have. So you've got a lot of things that keep the consumer from collapsing. And that's good news in that the Fed is really looking for this ever so soft landing, if landing at all. I think they'd settle for the planes that are going down to a lower cruise speed and not actually landing if that was enough to bring down inflation. I do think we are going to see enough consumer strength that inflation does come down next year, but not as rapidly as it has this year. That said, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, they have. Well, back to Fed Chair Powell and his comments last week, which you term a 180-degree shift from the approach that the Fed had previously, specifically to that 8-minute and 34-second speech he gave at Jackson Hole in 2022. So what is he seeing that has changed that approach so dramatically?
Well, really, in August of 2022, they were convinced. The Fed was, and Fed Chair Powell was convinced. And I believed them, and I was convinced as well, that the searing hot inflation that we had, you needed a recession in order to derail it. And as appalling as that trade-off was, it was better than a trade-off of having a more persistent inflation that got embedded into the U.S. economy. Now they've realized they've been able to see inflation come down much more rapidly than they expected. It's not been as sticky as they thought it would be, and that has shifted them to be able to experiment a bit with growth. And I think this is not the first time that we've seen the Federal Reserve experiment. We've seen the Federal Reserve experiment repeatedly during the Greenspan years with growth. In 1994, Fed Chairman Greenspan had a checklist. He thought he knew it. He started raising rates to preempt what was a non-existent inflation, and then had to turn around and cut in 1995. We also saw under Chair Yellen, we saw the push for a high-pressure economy. Let the unemployment rate fall with inflation so low. And I think that's what we saw again with Powell in 2019 when they reversed and cut rates. And this is a Fed that does tend to favor, if it can, growth over higher unemployment rate, given the deceleration in inflation we've seen.
So with the stickier services inflation, Diane, you expect the first cut to come later than the market. Do you expect as many cuts as the market? Because the market's at 150 now by the end of 2024, which is double where the Fed's dot plot is.
And it's a lot more than what we have. We have 1% cut over the course of the year. I think one of the things that was clear is that the Fed thinks it's done in rate hikes. It left the door ever a crack open for an additional rate hike, but not very far by the change in their language on the statement. But the other important issue is that they really fundamentally believe that the descent on rates will not be as rapid as ascent. And I think there's a sense that the market keeps wanting to go back to the 2010s. That was not the norm. That was the anomaly. And I think that side of it, the economy has proven that it can handle higher rates without collapsing. That does suggest we might be going towards a higher non-inflationary rate going forward. And I think that's something the markets have not fully digested. Also, we're talking about a world economy that is much more susceptible to supply shocks than we've seen in the past, even passes through the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal, getting disrupted by everything from climate to conflict. I think those are important things to remember, that the world we left, we sort of pushed through that proverbial looking glass into a mirror image of the world we were in. But unlike Alice through that looking glass, we don't get to wake up at the end of the fairy tale with our cats in our lap and back in the study of our uncle.